because I knew I was going to be buying this practice once I was done with residency. And something that had repeatedly come up was, get yourself a coach. All the best people who are very high up, they all have a coach, somebody
Absolutely.
to train them and guide them. So if you really want to be the best you can be and reach your highest potential, it definitely helps having a coach to help guide you in that.
You're busy, you've got a decent practice, but nobody wants to be decent. You want to be great, and you want to have a great practice. So how did the most productive, profitable dentist in the nation balance real life, work, and profits, and somehow make it all seem fun? Well, it comes down to simple, everyday practices. So grab a lunch, join us as we chat with top clinicians and influencers to discover their formula for uncommon success. Are you ready? Then it's time to explore everyday practices.
Hi, everybody. It's Chad Johnson. It's time for us to start our Everyday Practices podcast. Today, we have Dr. Tessa Miller. She initially joined Bay Park Dental Group in 2011 as a UC San Diego undergraduate pre-dental student working as a dental assistant. After completing her dental school training at UC San Francisco and general practice residency at Bronx Lebanon Hospital, she rejoined the Bay Park Dental team and became a proud owner in September 2017. Her husband, Dr. Ankora Gandhi, joined the team as a board-certified pediatric dentist a year later in 2018. Together, they plan on continuing growing their practice with a focus on family dental care. Let's get into the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. This is my first podcast. So,
Woohoo!
Yes. I love listening to podcasts, so now I'm honored to be part of one.
So what's the last couple of years been like for you? It's kind of been a roller coaster, but it's like a good roller coaster. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I finished my residency in 2017. And I bought this practice pretty much right away. A little background, I used to work at this practice as a dental assistant in my gap year between undergrad and dental school. So, I knew the doctor really well, like the owner, knew the associates, knew the whole team. So it was really awesome being able to come back and, start as an owner. But it's not always easy, especially having, no background in practice ownership, and even like I had never associated or anything anywhere either. But the owner was really great, Dr. Kenny, as mentoring me. He stayed on for about 6 months.
That's good timing. Yeah.
For me.
How long had he been in the community? I mean, how long was he a practicing dentist?
Probably around close to 30 years. So, and he's very well known in the dental community. He has a study club and very, loved by his patients and colleagues and everything. So,
what have you learned the most in practice through CE and mentorship that you weren't expecting to learn or anything along that line? But, I'm not talking dental school stuff, but after dental school stuff, what have you really developed and taken a liking to?
I think, one of the biggest challenges, but also the biggest rewards is just managing a team and developing a good culture in the office. We really love to have fun here. For example, just last week we did Halloween baskets. So it's kind of like a Secret Santa, but we made little baskets for each other and pick names. And so we just like to do fun stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. I like that. So did you put little candies, just little Halloween themed things in there?
Yeah, just little trinkets, socks, or decorations, candies. So that was really fun. And, I just love getting the team together and, have us all be focused towards one common goal. And our common goal here is, to always do the best interest of the patient. And as long as we're all working towards that common goal, then we thrive.
Well, Tessa, I have to say, most people don't say, just managing a team is what I've learned the most and whatnot as their most favorite thing to do. So it might not, you might have had a knack for it, but what kind of why did you gravitate towards that? What made that, one of your fortes?
I just think that when you have a great team, you can do the best for your patients because, it's so much more goes on behind the scenes than just the doctor. I wouldn't be able to, run this practice without everybody here, the assistants, the front office. It takes so much effort every day just to make the day go smooth. And, it really depends on everybody to make that happen.
Do you personally have kind of a knack for reading people well?
I think I would say that I do. I think I have pretty good emotional intelligence.
Well,
but-
not all of us dentists do, so that's cool. I mean, it's okay to own it when you find someone that actually is good at it naturally. Good job.
Thank you. And the challenge for me is, trying to be firm though, and not,
For sure.
I have this, desire to be liked, so it's hard for me to be firm when I need to be firm.
Yeah.
That's, definitely one of the biggest challenges.
Well, and with you being a younger grad, I mean, I imagine like somewhere around 30-ish or so. So, I mean, just to give people a perspective. And so that is tough being a boss when you're that young, when you kind of expect this quintessential boss on TV to be, the old guy or the older lady and stuff like that. And then it's like, no, I'm the one that's telling you what to do. And this is awkward because, so yeah, that can be tough.
Exactly. Yeah. When everyone's been here longer than me or is older than me. So it's something that I'm definitely learning and trying to develop those skills. Because one book that I really liked that I read is The 1 Minute Manager. And, I just like to, acknowledge people when they do something good in the moment, but then also like acknowledge them when there are mistakes made in the moment and just kind of, address how to correct it and move on versus letting things, build up over time.
So you had that nice kind of 6-month transition of sorts with mentorship. So it sounds like you inherited some teams stayed on, and and have you experienced during recently the last like 6 months with COVID, has it brought more team disruption or has it been pretty steady for you?
I feel like there's always, team members kind of coming and going. They, move on, things happen in their lives.
Yeah, that happens.
Yep.
So, I mean, luckily we were very thankful that everybody, came back after COVID. I think a lot of people struggled with that, getting their associates or, assistants, all the team members to come back. But we just had one girl who actually left, and she was planning this for a long time for hygiene school. So we had to find a new assistant, and it took some time for sure, but we found somebody who's great, who's working out well. But it was harder finding a new team member now than it was in the past. We used to put an ad out on Indeed and get 20 applicants in the first day. And now it's like one would trickle in here and there. They wouldn't show up for their interviews or call us back. So
man, that is shared across the board, Chad.
Right.
We've heard that so many times. And no matter the state, also, it doesn't seem to matter what state. There's been a real hiring challenge lately.
Well, I'd imagine, especially in San Diego, that could be, or like any bigger town and stuff like that, that could be challenging. Being in a small town would have its own challenges because if there's only 3 people that could even work in healthcare altogether, if you're in a town of 300 or something, then that could be its own challenge. But, San Diego, you're working against every other employer, not just dental employers. Does that seem kind of right?
Yeah, and even just amongst dental, there's, I don't know how many dental offices within, 2-3 miles of where I'm at. So, good employees, they have their options and their pick of, where to work. So.
Now, do you already have, being a couple years out, do you already have an associate?
Yeah, there's 2 part-time associates who are general practice doctors, and they each work once a week. And then we also have a periodontist who comes in twice a month. And then my husband is here on Fridays with the kiddos.
Wow, your story to
Gotcha.
me is very inspirational, Tessa, as I think I said before we started recording today, because you inspire me because you went into this, getting into the own practice. Like, to me, I've spoken with so many doctors at this point over the last 10 years. You being at such a physical young age are so far, if from my perspective, so far ahead of the game already. Whereas a lot of doctors I talk to that are in their mid-40s say, gosh, I wish I had discovered some of these techniques, 15 years ago or 20 years ago. Was there when you went into ownership, was there like a plan that you laid out for yourself, or was it kind of like fly by the seat of the pants? How did you set your goals up, and can you share with people like your little secrets?
Please tell us there was a plan.
My plan was that I was going to be mentored by the doctor who was here before. So, I felt like it was a great opportunity, like, for me to buy this practice because I had been here, and, it wasn't like I was buying it from somebody that I didn't know. So the fact that, I knew that he was going to be there and mentor me throughout it, I felt like I didn't want to lose that opportunity, and also help me feel a lot more comfortable with the fact that I was just diving right in head first without, much experience. But I think something that really helped me was also getting a coach. I would, during
Good
my
for you.
residency, I would take the subway, and, every day on the subway, I would listen to dental podcasts and just try to learn and absorb as much as I could, because I knew I was going to be buying this practice once I was done with residency. And something that had repeatedly come up was, get yourself a coach, all the best. You think about athletes or, people who are very high up, they all have a coach, somebody
Absolutely.
to train them and guide them. So if you really want to be the best you can be and reach your highest potential, it definitely helps having a coach to help guide you in that.
Tell me, you got the coaching kind of thing, but why do you think some people are hesitant to getting a coach?
Well, it's an investment for sure. I think that's part of it. But the return that you get on that investment is so well worth it. Maybe they're worried that, what are they going to, tell me that I can't learn on my own, or, there are so many resources out there that are available, but I mean, having somebody personally who works one-on-one with you a couple times a week is so valuable.
How did you go through the interview process with coaches? Did you interview lots of different, coaching companies, consulting companies?
Regan, that is a good question. That's a good question.
So I started out, there was a consultant here when I started. So I started with her for a while, but I just kind of felt like I outgrew that and wanted something bigger. So I was looking into different consulting companies. I went to a CE course that was put on by one consulting company, and I kind of started vetting them out a little bit. But it just didn't seem like quite the right fit. And then a colleague did introduce me to PDA, and so I talked to some doctors who were with PDA to see what their experience was like, and I just got an overall like good vibe from PDA. I could tell that, it was run by good people who really, cared about helping you and want to see you succeed. So I went with it, and it's been great. I definitely think that it's all about balance. I feel like I do work a little more than my friends who are still associates, because, they can go to work and come home and not have to worry about, their practice. But once I go home, I pretty much stop working. So I'll maybe stay for an hour after work or come in a little early to get things done. But then, on the weekends, that's my time that I yeah.
Well, because there should be a reward to it. I mean, we're all martyr owners and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's like you should have a little reward from it.
Exactly, and it's nice. If I want a day off, I say, I'll just can't block out the schedule. We're not working today, so
Right.
That's nice having that freedom to be able to do that.
Amen. There you go.
And you're thinking
Your
like, oh
bucket,
man, all those
Tessa.
patients I could have seen. Oh.
No, don't think that.
So, but no, it's definitely nice to be able to have that freedom to do that.
What type of procedures do you love to do?
My favorite procedures are, the cosmetic types of procedures, or even just things that are really simple, like just a little bit of bonding on a patient's chipped tooth. It's something that can be done right then and there, but the immediate gratification is so exciting.
I love that you say simple, because when I was pregnant with my first child, my daughter, I was drinking I think it was an Izzy, something it was a glass bottle, like a fruit juice, and I put it up and I cracked like the whole half of my big front tooth. And I remember thinking, I'm pregnant, like, can they even help me? And am I going to be, and I was only like my second trimester, and I thought this is going to be such a show. And I went in, and I can't really remember even which front tooth. I think it was this one, but that's how good of a job the doctor
I'll say I've never noticed after all these years.
No, he was
Yeah.
no. And my mom was a dental assistant for her career, Tessa, and I remember her complimenting him and saying, "That's why he was my doctor since I was like 8 years old." So she said, "That's why I chose him. He's such a gifted clinician."
Oh.
So simple to you, maybe life changing for patients.
Exactly, and that's why it's so rewarding. Is you get somebody who comes in, oh my God, freaking me out. Like, what am I gonna do? And then it usually doesn't take too long, and their life is changed right then and there. So I love that.
Reagan, what I like about bringing doctors on, like Dr. Tessa here, is that she's not trying to sell anything, and we're not.
Nope, that's true.
Right.
Maybe great dental care.
Well, like some people, and it's okay because sometimes, you have people on that are selling an idea or a book or a product and stuff like that. And it's not just our podcast, but, they want to get their word out, and that's fine. Like I want to be able to kind of pick and choose those podcasts. You get what I'm saying, Dr. Tessa, right? But what's cool is you just came on out of the goodness of your heart to kind of share with listeners, like where you've been and stuff like that. So kudos to you, number one. I guess I was just kind of curious with your office, where does it stop, or and in a good way, because it sounds like you have plans to expand into different specialties in the office. So what obstacles are you overcoming, or what are your goals to accomplish that?
So my husband and I recently purchased the building that we're in. So a little bit of background on our building. So my office is upstairs. It has 5 ops. And then downstairs right now, there's an endodontist who's there. So eventually what we would like to do is, once the endodontist, he's nearing towards retirement age, is for my husband to take over and build his practice downstairs as pediatrics. And then, us to be able to work together, seeing entire families. And we have a periodontist, but it'd be awesome if we could bring in like a endodontist, oral surgeon, an orthodontist, and kind of just keep everything in-house. I found that patients, they like in-house and not have to, go to all, and also just help collaborate with a team of specialists in order to get the best, clinical results for our patients as well.
That's right. Good for you for comprehensive care all in one roof. Exactly.
Some obstacles I think we're going to have is just the size of the building. We're going to have to make good use of our space. The downstairs office is the same size as my office, and some days, even if it's just me or one other associate, we're already scrambling for rooms for patients.
And just then someone calls and says they chipped their front tooth and they're in their second trimester. Right.
Exactly. Like, oh, which room are we going to have to put them in? We need to get them in now.
And have you updated the office as well over the past couple of years?
A little bit. COVID was a perfect time to do some updating because
right.
The doctor before me, he had each room a different theme. So there was like the movie room, and so there are these like posters like Dirty Dancing and like of pictures of old movie stars, and then one room was like the music room, and there's like records on the wall like Beatles and Monkeys. And so I was like, okay, I think it's time. Patients would always ask me, and there's like wallpaper. They're like, when are you gonna change out the rooms? So we painted, I hung up some plants and, changed out some of the pictures on the walls.
The true Beatles fans, if you would have said, I'm going to do it the one after 909, they would have been like, oh, touche, oh, snap. Someone will get that that's listening to that, sorry.
Yeah, so now, I would like to get newer equipment. I did have like a digital iTero scanner about a year ago. And
nice. I have to give you a little authentic marketing shout out. So we do an 8-week program online called Business Impact Foundations Program, and there's a whole week dedicated to authentic marketing, and really the definition of it is exactly that. Are you showcasing yourself and who you are through your practice and through your marketing efforts? And so it'd be very interesting to go into a practice and say, well, maybe Dirty Dancing isn't my thing exactly.
Yes. It's a great movie, don't get me wrong, but
Right.
yeah.
Right. So to pull yourself out for it. And what's fun is if I go to your website, I just pulled up your website really quickly.
Mhm.
I mean, you can see your practice. I can see Dr. Encore. I can see, your team, and it's very friendly. And it's also, combined with that great physical locality too. Like I can see San Diego. I can see, all the pieces. So I'm feeling that virtual experience right in front of me. So even if you're in transition, even if it's not, straight scratch start, you can still be super authentic and update. Doesn't have to be all at once, I think is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't, we have patients who've been here for so many years. And so I didn't want to just come in and be like, damn, everything has changed. It's all different now. But I think just kind of that slow transition, to patients, they get comfortable, they see things that are familiar, and now they're kind of seeing things grow or go in a different direction.
Is that orange wall like outside your practice too? That's the picture on the website, with the team and because what's cool is I like, Regan, that you'll get where I'm going with this, that that when they come to the practice, they all have already seen that orange.
That's our practice. Yep, that's our yellow building on the corner. So
Yep, I love it.
Gosh, and kudos to you, Tessa. We've worked with doctors. I've met doctors that have come in and they've taken over a practice, and there is, I think, that strong desire and urge to put the stamp on it and make it your own, like right away, and just kind of erase everything that was before. And so for you to honor probably multiple reasons. I'm sure financials one, but there's also the pride element of it. And for you to really deeply listen to the patients and care about their feelings and say, okay, we don't want it to be a stark contrast. We know we have goals, but we can pace those goals out and help them feel like they're coming along with us for the journey. I think that says something very special.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Regan, she's just sweet, and I like that. Tessa, your energy is refreshing. I just it already sounds like you're a leader that I'd want to follow. So I'm impressed.
Thank you so much. That means so much coming from you guys. I mean, you guys, I'm like, wow.
Well, And what I think the take home for this would be too, that leadership isn't age dependent. You can have a 15-year-old that's a good leader. You can have an 85-year-old that's a good leader. And it's not just waiting until you're old and you have a ton of baggage and bad experiences, but making the most of, who you are right now. And you're a testament to that. It's impressive. I like it.
Kind of worried about coming in, like, am I going to be a good leader? Like, I'm a little bit more quiet or reserved or shy, but when you think of a leader, I think a lot of people think of that really like strong, like powerful, like maybe more military like type of leadership. But I learned that there are other types of leadership, and it's okay if that's not who you are. You can still lead by being who you are.
Well, and some people want to be led by that kind of person, but then again, there's other people that you're attracting that want to be led by your authenticity.
Right. So, it all kind of comes back to getting your team together and, finding people who believe in you and are willing to, be fought or be led by you, I guess.
That's right. Good for you. Well, thanks for joining us on our podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And for everyone else, Everyday Practices, we'll see you next week on our podcast.
Bring your lunch or take us to the gym again next week to improve your everyday practices. Also, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on social media, and sign up for our email list. Now get out there and win with Everyday Practices.